Hey, greetings YouTube, Performance Reviews, where I give you the review from the technician's point of view. And today I have a Oreck DutchTech. This is the DTX1400. Hey, future performance reviews here. Upon looking at the first footage I saw of this, I realized some of my camera work was bad, so I wanted to just apologize to you, the viewer. About 5 to 8 minutes into this, the camera gets a little bit better. And then as I put it together, I give you a much better camera angle. So please be patient and keep that in mind. I do address that. And Dutch Techs are interesting machines. First of all, they're a Philips that Oreck imported and marketed, and they're 110 volt machines. And what's also interesting about them is they use a Plastiflex hose from like a central vacuum. And this has an 1.25 inches, which makes this like a interesting hybrid between a US domestic market fitting machine and a European market fitting machine. Oh, okay. I didn't realize this. So the DutchTech is kind of before Hepa bags. I thought I was missing this piece, which is super useful, but I am not, which I'm thankful. So there's the Oreck DutchTech bag, huge paper bag. Is this 2 or single ply? It is a 2-ply bag. This is really reminiscent of a lot of vacuums of the 90s. This has copyright 1999, and that's about when they were sold. They were sold late 90s, early 2000s. Actually up to about mid-2000s. I think it was like, because they were still selling these when Obama got in office. Now that I think about it in terms of a timeline. But this one is beat to shit. And yeah, I don't have its original power nozzle, but being that standard 1.25 inches from a central vacuum, I actually have an EBK 340 I can stick on the end of here. So right now, I'm just going to kind of plug it in, diagnose it, take a look. Some of these would have a tumor-style Hepa filter. This one just has the electrostatic on it. There's the filter grill, and you can see it's exhaust up, not out. The back, it's kind of different. Oh, this one's got the original plug, which is very similar to a lot of Miele's. All this stuff is very European. Now let's see if it turns on. It's just like a central vac, same part in there and everything. All right, so it's excellent. You can see mine has some discolorization on it, unfortunately. But all that is great news because these are incredibly rare now and hard to find. So I'm going to wash some of these parts in the dishwasher that are not the white parts. I'm just going to wash some of the bits and pieces. It does need to be washed, but again, I don't want to really go too far into this one. All these plastics got brittle even when they were new. And like so, you know, this sort of thing. Maybe we'll take the lid off and clean it off. Let's readjust the camera here so y'all can see that. Okay, taking the DutchTech apart. Huh, of course, it's Philips. Philips using Phillips screws. Imagine that. I was expecting Torx. They're very serviceable, but like I said, this stuff is old, brittle, and parts are not available. So as I get into this, I will kill myself pretty much if I break anything. So again, this is not one that I've spent a lot of time servicing. These were not common. In fact, when I worked at a company that had multiple Oreck stores, there's only one tech who would even touch these. These are like one of those machines. So I do not want to mess with this too often. But basically what needs to happen is this little cover needs to come off, and then the big cover comes off, and I can unplug the lid, which is more my goal. I want to unplug the lid. So I'm real hesitant to think this, but I believe the solution is a paint scraper in here. Looking at this. Oh, thank God it didn't break. Everything about this machine makes me nervous. Oh, there we go. Yep. I am right about that. That is how that comes off. Yep. Okay. You see how that is? And that. And we are going to mark the potentiometer on the circuit board here because I don't want anything out of place. All right. So now this, I'm looking in here and looking at this. Everything's still clipped in there, but there is a nice rusted spot there that I can pull this off. This is what I want. Let's pull this. Come on out of here, honey. Oh boy. Where's my cell phone? It is time to take a picture of how all this is in there because, gosh darn, if I'm going to remember that in a day or two. So yeah, we're going to just, again, because I want to wash this, so I was going to strip out all the wiring. Fucking things I do for weird-ass machines I want to use. Everything's really snapped together here in a wacko weird fashion. Alright, there's the lid. And look at the spring. It's so weird. It's just like a spring. And I kind of want to pull that out. Don't want that to rust. And this spins 360 degrees. I don't know exactly much more about it or how it's in there. What I want to do is unplug this here, which I can do right here. Sorry for not showing this, but I pulled this thing off and I marked with markers which colors went where just to be on the safe side. I'm going to wash this. I'm going to hand wash this with the logo and this stuff. So that's what we're doing there with that. Let us continue into the DutchTech. There we go. That all just came off. That was all interesting and very, very fragile and weird. Oh boy, now we have a full bag check. That is just like exactly what the Miele C3 has, this sort of thing in it. That's hysterical. All right, so now everything else is straightforward. Man, I feel like, oh, there is one more screw over there. There could be one more screw in this, and then there's this thing, which is, man, hope that's all good. Again, all this makes me incredibly nervous doing on this machine. All right, I'm going to pull the board off now because I believe the board is snapped in, and I think there's a, yeah, I can see a screw under there. Yep, there's a screw under here. So this guy just kind of snips out this way. We remove the screw. I pulled the switch out. And we now have this docking station slash full bag indicator window. That is, again, everything is like in here and clipped in and not clipped in at the same time. Like things are screwed and clipped. This is really complicated construction. And I suspect this was like, they built this in a computer model or something. This is like one of the first machines they would have done that with. It was kind of an old design when we got it here in the US, unfortunately. And, you know, if you compare this to, say, the Milas at the time, it's just not... Why the motor's powerful, it's just not as convenient, if that makes sense. But it's... This was also the time of the big body simplicity machines would have been sold in back stores as well. Man, I am struggling. I think there's a screw underneath this thing. And it's... So the motor cover is actually sandwiched between these two parts in here. I could try on sandwiching them. I hate to stick a screwdriver. Oh, that was maybe the key. All right. So like I said, it was clipped in there. Really peculiar, odd stuff. There's the potentiometer hose. Let's see what's... Oh, nothing under there. All that struggle for nothing. Like I said, actually, that made it easier to come off. Okay, so that clip was the key to pulling this apart. Now we've got this hose. That will need to be washed, at least rinsed out by hand. And now, okay, now everything's very, very straightforward. We can see all the screws. Self-vacuuming cord reel. That's cool. So that's a way of it cleaning itself. The cord reel cleans itself. Again, screws are just all in kind of weird places. It's not horrible, but you gotta just look. It's just a fascinating, weird-ass machine. I want to put this gray part in the dishwasher and clean it because it's filthy, and this part. It's basically the motor cover. This multi-piece construction also reminds me of a C3 or an S8 Mila. Again, there's a lot of very advanced things here, and there's a lot of like things that are kind of behind the time, like the casters and like these wheels and just this big caster and the paper bag. And the overall weight of this thing is pretty atrocious. Okay, the whole thing comes out as a chassis system. My lens, I'll move the camera back. All right, this thing was big enough I had to move the camera back. I couldn't zoom out enough on my lens. All right. Really cool construction. It's a fifth screw over here. All right. I'm sure somebody is shrieking, being like, "You don't know what you're doing." And I was like, "Yeah, I really don't with this one." Again, these were not particularly common. But this sort of thing. This is the, like some sort of motor dampening material. It's kind of weird. All right. Now this should just push out. I see how this comes out. This comes out separately. I see that. Self-vacuuming cord reel. And then there's 4 more screws. There's a big motor in here. Man, look at that motor mount. That's like a straight up copy of a Mila as well. This is just, you can see they just, anything that wasn't patented they took from whatever other companies when they made this. And again, it wasn't Oreck making this, it was Philips. Oreck was just importing them and got them UL certified and all that stuff. It may have already been UL certified. Oh gosh, that's actually much smaller than I thought it was. It was just a big motor casing. This machine does make a good amount of power that comes out. So much of this is just like very Mila, very much combination of a lot of machines. All right. Well, now that that's all apart and a mess, we're going to go put that in the dishwasher. Well, that's finished its cycle. Let all that stuff dry. Things like that got super clean. Man, that's Electrolux-esque. This is like very like Electrolux 2100 high-tech-esque. All right, we're gonna put the motor on there. Yep, just like so. You can even see where it was before. Right there. Because I'm trying to do this all on camera. I'm also not trying to unplug anything. All right, well that looks like how it was. And then there's this, which is so Miele looking. It's fucking crazy how much that looks like a Miele mounting bracket. And then this thing just goes on and those go into it. You got put on the right way though. So that all comes together. Beautiful. There's a piece of foam that goes in there. Some sort of sound insulation. And again, if I'm putting this foam in upside down or something, give me a break here. This is not one of my usual ones that I've done before. Really, I think I've done one of these once before. Maybe not, I don't remember. And I talked about this with a couple people who comment and ask me, you know, years later when they see videos, they're like, do you remember doing X, Y, and Z? I'm like, no, I really don't. Remember this being right here, though. This piece of paper. Like, yeah, so if you ask me, like, a month from now, I'm not going to remember doing any of this. But I do remember the Phillips using Phillips screws. Get 4 of those. Like I said, there's going to be just 4 screws going in here. I really like how all this is put together. It explains why it feels so solid, as it is so solid. Let's start all these off by hand. Perfect. Then this guy. This guy was just sitting. He was chilling like a villain right here. I don't know what he does, but he was there. Alright, so this piece of paper goes in this thing. I remember that. Take that grill out for now. And this, I don't think this was loose. I feel like this was wedged in there. Yeah, just like that. Alright, so that all goes in there. That's a sealed unit. That's a pretty damn well sealed unit. Very interesting. And I remember there being a wacko screw right here. Oh boy. Is that going to go? Yeah, that's going to go in there like that. All right, so I think it's time now to figure out all of this. It's probably electrical safe grease, but either way. Never a fan of any of that dirt in there. All right. They all make good contact now. And the spring. The spring on the other side is going to get some oil on it. That will help it a little bit. So this all needs to now go into the body. All right. Let's put the cord reel in. So it actually looks like that this goes down like so. Yeah, that's definitely. All right. Ah, yes. All right. And all that just snaps in there. Yep. That's gonna work the way it should. So it's just gonna. All right, that's good. That's a start. Rotate this around. The way this is constructed, it really makes you appreciate like a Miele or a Bosch or something like that. This has got stuff going everywhere. This is wild. It's had to have cost a lot just to put together at the factory. I mean, some of the stuff is just absurd. You got this thing going up in through here. You would have to hand assemble a lot of this, which would add to the price of the machine. I don't actually remember exactly how that was. You'll have to forgive me. And we're gonna just start looking at how all this was fitted together. But yeah, these would have to be hand assembled by union labor workers, I'm sure. This is all right. So I don't want to just go snapping this all together. I want to see. We had this thing particularly. This is such a weird, one of the weirdest full bag chicken carriers. So rather than put it on a lid like most people would, it's actually like a remote line running through the machine up to this for that purpose. And this thing, right here is going to have to come apart and get cleaned out because he's kind of dirty. Or maybe we'll just do this. Yeah, that will have to work. That will work. Like I said, this is just absolutely crazy, whoever put this all together. The fact that it all just goes together like that. Again, I'm just trying to figure out which hole this one little tube goes through. And it would actually appear to me that it goes through up like this. This is insane. Absolutely insane, but it looks like it goes through like that. Perhaps. Maybe, yeah, it's got to go up like that. All right, that's got to go up above everything. Good. This is the question. Like I said, when you're doing this, you just don't want anything going where it shouldn't. All this stuff is really proprietary in terms of where, like, the switch is going and all that stuff. It's all going whichever way. Then this cover rocks and interlocks into that. And everything really interlocks into everything else very nicely. There's a lot of thought that was put into this. Gosh. There was a lot of thought put into this. And it's hard to believe this sort of thing was on the market at the same time as, you know, some of the Panasonic, Kenmore's, some of the crap we got over here in comparison. You know, and, you know, companies like Oreck, you know, they probably 100 to 1 sold their little simple uprights compared to these. And I bet you the dealers had something to do with that. I could see a dealer looking at this and not wanting to have anything to do with this. That would definitely have been a real possibility. Looking at how this all goes. All right. Well, now I gotta. So this all just kind of goes in here, and then the switch has to go. Oh, okay. I see how it goes. This tray just kind of popped in and out of here. Kind of weird. There's still one screw I gotta put in, but I gotta dry fit the switch. All right, and then this is just gonna go like so on top. This is all absolutely crazy the way this is put together, and whoever thought of this was a fucking genius. Pure respect to them. And then the lid has to get wired in here too. Don't forget. I have to still do that. And there's plenty of room in this little section for the wires. Again, well thought out to whatever engineer really put in the effort here. So when I put everything back together and clamp it down with this little guy, there's nothing really to worry about. In fact, I think that's probably where those went. Oh, I see where the little ones went now. Of course, this if I can just get that in there. There's another one of these. That appears to be where that all went. Like I said, they have a little clamp in there, so I don't have to worry about it. The opening closing part pulling on the wires or something like that. It's kind of real smart. All that just kind of clamps there. Probably need to untangle. There we go. Now everything's untangled. That's all real simple with that. Oh, I was talking about this earlier. I gotta put a thingamabopper in that. All right, put the first screw in the chassis. I've already kind of snapped everything together. So once that screws in, then we can put or snap our circuit board back into place. Like so. And then this, like I said, this guy, I think he goes actually under the circuit board. That would probably make sense. And the circuit board is also cooled by a line right here. Yep, that all makes sense. That guy goes right there, and he sucks that there when he gets full. And I believe this is also the parking station, which is made out of a glass reinforced resin, so tougher plastic for the parking station. Again, this is all really advanced, really well thought out in a lot of perspectives. Some of it's not, but a lot of it really is. Oh, my question was about this. Yeah. Okay. So this guy is what enacts the cord reel, and it's like a lever in there that's doing this. So my question is, did I put that lever back in the right place, which I did not? So I'm holding up on this lever for the cord rewind because There we go. Tuck everything in. So now, all right. So you have to do that before you put any of the other screws in. Super important. So there should be an O-ring around this, and it was missing. So I managed to figure out a piece that would make that work. Just a heads up to anybody fixing one of these in the future. I didn't put the black piece in the dishwasher. I should have. I want to say thank you to anybody watching this at this point, as this is a long video. So I've got green marks lining everything up with the speed control because, again, I wasn't quite sure, and I've not done enough of these to feel confident about where all that should be. So when this is open, just to do a kind of a dry run. So that's the right amount of slack that needs to be in. Just making sure all that's in place. So all that's in place, working. We're going to put some screws in this. And then once I've put a few screws in this, we're not going to put them all in. I am going to just run this, make sure everything's working and wired up correctly. All right. I just need to do that, make sure everything was wired up right. Excellent. So now let's get to putting everything else back together. You know, I just now noticed there's screw holes through the lid here. I don't know why the hell you would need to do that, but I wonder if I didn't need to take... I wonder how these are put together in the factory. I would have loved to have seen that. If anybody has a manufacturing video, man, that would be cool to see. These are just such, these are bizarro, just totally bizarro. All right, well, all that goes in. Let's see if the screw hole, if I can get that in frame, through the lid works. Yeah, that makes me think it was put together like this. Super weird. The DutchTech just gets weirder and weirder the more I work on it. Hey, as I'm doing this, I realized there were two different screw sizes I was working with here. They look the same. The two small ones went on this cord cover over here. I just want to note that if you did take all that apart, like I did, that's where those two go. So, I guess it's time to put this part on. Makes me nervous here. I did put the spring in off camera, but that's kind of self-explanatory how that goes. It actually looks like the way this was done in the factory would have been done like that. Yep. All right. Let's see if there are any other screws I missed. Oh, wow, everything looks put together right. That's amazing. All right, so this is the piece I was most concerned about when taking it apart. Let's see if I can line this up. And if you look, there's tabs there. So this goes in, down, and then the screw gets held under there. That's so super weird. I would have just put a sticker on that if I was the manufacturer, or like one of these doodads, I would not have gone through the mechanical trouble of having a spring-loaded screw cover, but you know, that's just me. That's just my 2 cents on industrial design. Alright, I got it. It takes a bunch of fussing around, but I got it. So now we can put the most glorious screw in the machine in there. The one under the spring-loaded cover. Well, there are all of our parts. It's cold in my shop today, by the way, so some of these things are not going to act like they will. You'll see when I do a review on this. Now, some of these had a Hepa filter, which clipped in right here, and it was like this odd L-shaped Hepa filter. I don't have a Hepa filter. I don't even have a new set of vacuum bags for it yet. They are still available from Oreck. And, oh, by the way, before I put this on there, you notice there's some rubber right here. That's just like extra attention to detail on this. Anyways, so I was going to order some from Oreck because they are available. And I was like, it's a shame to wash this machine and really put the effort into it just to slam a Chinese paper bag into it. So I was looking around, and lo and behold, they make, believe it or not, they make Hepa bags for these. But you have to search, you can't just search Oreck and expect to find them. You have to look under the manufacturer name, Phillips. But they make Hepa bags for them, so I was happy to see that. And you can see how that just slides in there. So I'm gonna wait for them to come from overseas, across the pond, to come in. But this "oh-so" wording right here is the bag style. So if you look for "oh-so," you find a bunch of bags for this. But those bags will be coming from overseas, and you'll get to see that when I do a review video on it. But that's how the bag sits in there. And if you don't have this bag collar, you are shit out of luck. These are so hard to find. In fact, when I was taking this machine, I took it actually to sell the bag collar if it didn't work, because I know that they're worth a bit. But when everything worked, I just said, I would not part this out. I'm going to keep it. I've always wanted one of these. I've always wanted a green one, but I'll take the white, off-white one as well. So I appreciate y'all. Thanks for watching. Definitely check out our Discord server. Check out performancereviews.com if you'd like to see more. Check out our Patreon. We'll put links below to all that. I'll also put links below to any parts or anything that were used in this repair as well. And no, I don't have the dusting brush yet, but I will get one. So, again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.